Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our class. I'm your instructor Adil Raza, and today we have to learn from the grade 6 unit 7, and it's our first lecture, and which is going to be about a grammar's competency. And from the grammar we will have to discuss a punctuation mark. And what is that punctuation mark? Let's see. So as I mentioned that today is our first lecture from the grammar's competency, and we have to discuss parentheses from the punctuation. What parentheses are? To find out what parentheses are, we will go through this lecture. We have to go through this lecture accurately or in a compact manner. So firstly, there is a SLO. Let's read what the SLO is going to be about. As I mentioned that this SLO is actually a SLO from the punctuation. So the SLO is that punctuate sentences and short paragraphs correctly using capitalization, parentheses, exclamation marks, full stops, apostrophe, and commas. Many of these punctuation signs which we have understand previously, we have learned in the previous lessons, but today what is our topic is going to be, today we have to focus on this punctuation mark, the parenthesis. So what is parenthesis? Before understanding the parenthesis, let's do a brainstorm activity. But before the brainstorming, here is the vertical linkage which you will definitely got. Let's do the brainstorming activity. What is the brainstorming prompt? Let's read it and start thinking what I have asking you. Have you ever witnessed or noticed such small brackets in the text? So have you ever witnessed such type of small brackets? Let's we take an example. You are reading a text, and in the text there is written that it is a chair, and in the brackets there is written that made of wood, or such type of thing. If you have noticed such type of brackets, why they are there and what they do in that main text? Let's find out what these brackets are called. So in the general manner, these notations are considered as brackets, but actually they are not the brackets. What they are parentheses, a punctuation mark. And what is parenthesis? To understand what the parenthesis is, we have to see the etymology of the parenthesis. The word parenthesis comes from a Greek word, and it is actually a combination of two Greek words. What is the first word? The first word is para, which means beside, and second word is thesis, which means placing or positioned. So what parenthesis mean? Parenthesis means that placed beside or placed within the text. What is beside? Beside, along the text or within the text. So from the etymology or from the meaning of the words, we have a base understanding, we have a slight understanding of the parenthesis. So parenthesis is something which is placed beside the text or placed within the text. So let's find out further. Let's read the definition of the parenthesis, which is mentioned on the page 57 of the book. Let's go further what parenthesis is. So parentheses are curved notation which we supposed as the small brackets, or they also used in the mathematics, but in English we call these notations as parentheses. Why these parentheses are used? They used to contain further thoughts or qualifying remarks. So what is meant by further thoughts? There is a text, and the text is giving information about something, but the writer want to clarify or give some about a thing, then he will use the parenthesis and add that extra information in the parenthesis. That's why we define it as parentheses are the curved notation which are carrying the further thoughts or qualifying remarks. So what the parentheses allow? These parentheses, or they allow a writer to provide additional information. As I have mentioned that it is a chair, and within a brackets what is written? That a wooden chair. So a wooden chair is actually a additional information which the writer want to give us, and he used this notation, these notations, or these small brackets or this parenthesis to give information. the material within a parenthesis might be single word or a fragment or multiple complete sentences. So in the parenthesis there can be a word, there can be a phrase, there can be a clause, or there can be a number of sentences which a writer want to portray or give information about the main text. So there can be a description in the parenthesis of a person, like we have said that he is a man of honor. Now who is he? The writer can use parenthesis to give information about he, and in the bracket he writes that the name of the he is, let's suppose we take the name example Ali from a village of the Chiniot or from a village of the Lahore. So these sentences or these clauses are actually the additional information which the writer give us within the main text or beside the main text through the use of parentheses. So parentheses, I hope you understand, are used to add information or tell us more about the main text. Let's go further with some examples and you will definitely find what the concept of parenthesis is. So there is an example how parentheses give additional information. Let's find out an example in which parentheses are used to give additional information. So there is a main text, my friend Sarah has a cat. So this is the main sentence, my friend Sarah has a cat, and what you have to do, where is the additional information? The additional information is in the parenthesis. And what is the additional information? Who lives next door. So here parentheses are used to give extra information, and within the parenthesis the writer mentioned that Sarah which lives the next door. So here the parentheses are used to give additional information. Parentheses are also used to clarify something. How the parentheses are used to clarify something? Let's have a look at it. There is a sentence, the cake was delicious. So it is a complete sentence, it is a main text, but the writer want to give us about some clarification about this cake or about this subject. So he used these notations, he used the parentheses, and what he will tell us about through the use of parentheses, and it was homemade. So he clarified that the cake was not brought from a bakery or outside the house, the cake is actually a homemade cake. He clarified us about the subject with the use of parentheses. So I hope you understand. The third thing which oftenly used in the parentheses, and what the parentheses are used for, adding a short comment or a short remark. Let's have an example. The weather was cold. So it is a complete sentence, it is the main text, but the author want to add some comment or add a short detail, and what he has used, he has to use this punctuation mark parenthesis, and he writes as usual in December. The weather was cold, it is the main sentence, and he used a comment. He want to do a comment, he want to add a comment, so he use a parenthesis and give a extra comment when the weather was going to be cold. So I hope you guys understand what the parenthesis is. Let's do a classroom activity and find out, are we able to achieve our SLO? Are we able to identify parenthesis? So what you have to do, add parenthesis to enclose supplemental information which not comes under the category of the main text. It can be a word, it can be a number, it can be some extra detail or something like that. Acronyms, dates, letters or numbers in a series. So all these stuff, acronyms or the dates or the letters, all this stuff comes under the parenthesis within the main text. So they are, because they are not supposed as that, authors use the parenthesis to add, to enclose such type of things. So what you have to do, you have to add or remove any punctuation as needed to use parenthesis, because you have learned the other punctuation marks previously. Let's take an example. So there is a sentence, the American Civil War, and there is a date. So what we have to do, we have to insert a parenthesis because the date of the war is a extra information which the author is giving. In the second sentence we have an example of the abbreviation or acronym, so that's why we also add parenthesis there. Do this classroom activity to achieve your SLO or to check the understandability of the parenthesis. Let's go further. What we have next? We have a simulation. You can watch it to make your concept more clear and enhance your understandability. Let's go further. We have a worksheet. What you have to do? You guys have to attempt this worksheet to make your understanding more confidential or more better. In this worksheet, you guys have to add parentheses to the appropriate place in the sentences. Let's go further. We have a homework. What you have to do as a homework is that you have to identify the examples of parentheses from a text of the lesson, the lesson which you have read on the bribery. So you have to identify examples of parentheses where these brackets are placed to give extra information or place to enclose a number or a letter or acronym. You have to find out such examples and you have to enlist them. This is your homework. Here is a resource pack which will help you to achieve this SLO, which will help you to learn this lesson in a better way. I hope you guys understand what the parenthesis is, and I hope you don't have any issue. If you find any issue or any question, you can ask in the comment section or you can ask from your teacher as well. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.